In the middle of the night, while most of the world was asleep, something moved silently across the sky, something that wasn't supposed to be seen, wasn't supposed to be tracked, and wasn't supposed to be stopped. A bomber lifted off from the United States, but this wasn't just another routine flight. There were no loud formations, no visible escorts, no dramatic buildup, just a single aircraft cutting through the darkness, heading toward one of the most heavily defended regions on the planet Tyrian. What made this moment so different wasn't just where it was going, but what it represented. Because when this aircraft takes off, it doesn't mean a strike might happen. It means something has already been decided. This wasn't a warning. It wasn't a show of force. It was the beginning of something far more precise, far more calculated, and far more dangerous. The aircraft at the center of it all was the B-2 Spirit, one of the most advanced and secretive bombers ever built. Designed to evade the most sophisticated radar systems in the world, it doesn't rely on speed or brute force to survive. It relies on invisibility. And when a machine like this is sent directly into hostile territory, it means one thing. The targets it's going after are too important, too protected, and too dangerous for anything else to reach. To understand why this moment matters so much, you have to look at how modern warfare actually begins. It doesn't start with explosions or large-scale attacks. It starts with silence. Before any massive operation unfolds, before the skies fill with aircraft and the ground shakes with impact, there is always a first move. A move designed to break the enemy's ability to see, to respond, and to fight back. That's where the B-2 Spirit comes in. In conflicts involving advanced air defenses like those developed by Iran, traditional aircraft simply cannot operate safely in the early stages. Radar systems, missile batteries, and command networks are built specifically to detect and destroy incoming threats. Any visible aircraft entering that space would be at extreme risk. But the B-2 changes that equation completely. Its design allows it to penetrate these defenses without being detected, reaching targets that would otherwise be untouchable. And that's exactly why it is used at the very beginning of major operations. Its role is not just to strike it, is to open the battlefield. To eliminate key systems, disrupt coordination, and create the conditions for everything that comes next. Because once those first strikes land, everything changes. The defenses that once protected the airspace begin to weaken. The systems that once tracked every movement start to fail. And as those layers collapse, the battlefield transforms. What was once heavily defended becomes vulnerable. What was once impossible becomes achievable. And that's when the second phase begins. Because the moment the B-2 Spirit completes its mission, it doesn't end the operation, it triggers it. What follows is not just a continuation, but an escalation. More aircraft, more strikes, more pressure. A shift from precision to overwhelming force. And that's what makes this moment so powerful. It's not just about a bomber flying into enemy territory. It's about what happens after, because when the invisible strike hits first, everything that follows is no longer a question of if, but how much. To understand how this entire chain of events begins, you have to start with the aircraft that makes it possible, the B-2 Spirit. Unlike traditional bombers, which rely on speed, altitude, or defensive systems to survive, the B-2 was built around a completely different idea: invisibility. Not literal invisibility, but the ability to avoid detection entirely. From its unique flying wing design to the special materials that absorb radar signals, Every aspect of this aircraft was engineered to reduce its presence in the sky. To enemy radar systems, it doesn't appear as a large bomber, it barely appears at all. Developed during a time when air defenses were becoming increasingly advanced, the B-2 was designed to do something no other aircraft could: penetrate deep into heavily defended territory without being detected. This capability makes it one of the most valuable assets in modern warfare. While other aircraft must wait for defenses to be weakened, the B-2 goes in first. It doesn't follow the battle, it starts it. But what truly sets the B-2 Spirit apart is not just its stealth, but its reach. It can take off from the United States and fly across continents without needing to land. Delivering its payload anywhere in the world, this global strike capability means that it can respond quickly to emerging threats. It's operating with a level of flexibility that few other systems can match. Inside the aircraft, advanced systems assist the crew in navigating complex missions. Precision-guided munitions allow it to strike specific targets with remarkable accuracy, minimizing the need for large-scale bombing. This combination of stealth, range, and precision makes it uniquely suited for high-risk operations where failure is not an option. But with all its capabilities, the B-2 is not used lightly. Deploying it sends a message. It signals that the target is critical, that the mission is high priority, and that the situation has reached a level where only the most advanced tools are acceptable. And when it takes off, it rarely acts alone. It sets the stage for everything that follows. Every major military operation has a beginning, but in modern warfare, that beginning is often invisible. Before large-scale strikes, before widespread destruction, there is a carefully planned first move. In this case, that move involved the deployment of the B-2 Spirit toward Iran. The mission itself is designed with precision. So unlike traditional bombing campaigns that rely on overwhelming force from the start, this phase focuses on key targets, locations that control the enemy's ability to defend itself. These include radar installations, missile launch sites, communication centers, and command structures. By targeting these systems, the operation aims to weaken the enemy's ability to detect and respond. What makes this mission unique is the level of risk involved. These targets are often heavily defended, protected by advanced air defense systems designed to intercept incoming threats. Sending conventional aircraft into such an environment would be extremely dangerous. But the stealth capabilities of the B-2 Spirit allow it to operate where others cannot. As the aircraft approaches its targets, it does so without alerting the defense systems below. This element of surprise is critical. It ensures that the first strikes land before the enemy has time to react. And when they do, the impact is immediate. The destruction of key systems creates confusion. Communication is disrupted. Coordination breaks down. The defensive network that once operated as a unified system begins to fragment. This is not the end of the operation, it is the beginning. Because once these initial strikes are completed, the battlefield is no longer the same. In the moments following the initial strikes, the battlefield enters a critical phase. This is the period where the effects of the B-2 Spirit begin to take shape. The destruction of radar systems and missile defenses creates gaps in coverage, reducing the enemy's ability to detect incoming threats. At first, the changes may not be immediately visible. There are no large-scale explosions or continuous bombardments. Instead, there is a shift, a subtle but significant change in how the battlefield operates. Systems that once worked seamlessly begin to fail. Detection becomes inconsistent. response times increase. This is the silence before chaos. It is the moment where the balance begins to shift, but the full impact has not yet been realized. For military planners, this phase is crucial. It provides an opportunity to assess the effectiveness of the initial strikes and prepare for the next stage of the operation. It is a moment of transition where strategy evolves based on real-time conditions. And as those conditions change, the operation moves into its next phase, one that is far more visible and far more intense. Once the initial defenses have been weakened, the operation enters a new stage. What began as a series of precise, targeted strikes now expands into a broader campaign. Additional aircraft are deployed, and the scale of the operation increases significantly. At this point, platforms like the B-52 Stratofortress begin to play a role, like the stealth-focused B-2. The B-52 brings a different kind of power, massive payload capacity, and the ability to sustain prolonged operations. With defenses weakened, these aircraft can operate more freely, delivering large-scale strikes against a wide range of targets. The focus shifts from disabling systems to overwhelming them. This is the phase where the operation becomes visible. Explosions, continuous strikes, and widespread activity define the battlefield. The pace increases, and the pressure on the opposing side intensifies. What started as a silent operation now becomes a full-scale campaign. The success of such an operation lies in its structure. By starting with stealth and precision, it creates conditions where larger forces can operate effectively. The B-2 Spirit plays a critical role in this process, ensuring that the initial barriers are removed. Once those barriers are gone, the balance shifts significantly. The opposing side loses its ability to respond effectively, and the operation gains momentum. This is not just about technology, it's about coordination. Multiple systems working together, each playing a specific role, create a combined effect that is greater than the sum of its parts. As the operation unfolds, its impact extends beyond immediate targets. It influences the overall direction of the conflict, shaping future decisions and strategies. The use of the B-2 Spirit at the beginning of the operation sets the tone for everything that follows. It demonstrates capability, establishes control, and sends a message. But it also highlights the evolving nature of warfare. Success is no longer determined by a single factor, but by the ability to integrate multiple elements into a cohesive strategy. And in this case, that strategy begins with silence and ends with overwhelming force. As this story comes to an end, what stands out is not just the power of a single strike, but the way modern warfare unfolds in layers, starting with silence and ending in overwhelming force. The moment the B-2 Spirit was sent toward Iran, the outcome of the battlefield had already begun to shift, not because of one explosion or one mission, but because of what that aircraft represents. It represents precision, control, and the ability to strike without warning. And once those first invisible blows land, everything else follows. The defenses that once seemed impenetrable begin to fall apart. Coordination weakens, and the entire structure holding the battlefield together starts to collapse. What comes next is not just escalation, it's momentum. More aircraft, more strikes, more pressure, all building on the foundation created by that first move. But what makes this moment truly powerful is not just the destruction, it's the realization of how warfare has changed. It's no longer about who has the biggest weapons or the largest forces. It's about who can act first, who can disrupt the enemy before they even understand what's happening, who can control the pace of the conflict from the very beginning. The B-2 spirit doesn't just deliver bombs, it delivers advantage. And once that advantage is established, it becomes incredibly difficult to reverse. At the same time, this raises an important question about the future. If conflicts can be shaped so quickly, if control can shift in a matter of hours, what does that mean for how wars will be fought in the years ahead? Will the next battles be decided before they even begin? Or will new technologies emerge that challenge this kind of dominance once again? Because history has shown that no advantage lasts forever, and every breakthrough eventually faces a response.
If you found this breakdown powerful, make sure to subscribe to Strategic Archive for more deep dives into real military operations, hidden strategies, and the moments that define global power. I'd also like to hear your thoughts. Do you think strikes like this mark a turning point in modern warfare, or are they just another step in an ongoing cycle of innovation and response? Let me know in the comments below, because your perspective could shape the next story we explore. And if you enjoyed this, don't forget to like and share it with someone who wants to understand what really happens behind the scenes of modern conflict. Because in the end, the most important battles aren't just fought with weapons. They're won in the moments when the enemy doesn't even see them coming.